So what's going on in the Republican Party? I don't know, but certainly one guy who should know, at least according to his title, is Sean Spicer, the Chief Strategist for the Republican National Committee. Sean, welcome to TechCrunch TV and to Innovate2016.
Well, thank you for having me.
So Sean, what's going on in the Republican Party?
I think we're having a really robust debate. 13 current candidates seeking the nomination of our party, each of them offering solutions to the problem that our country faces, as well as a vision for where we should go. And I think that's in sharp contrast to what you're seeing on the other side of the aisle, with the Democrats having a coronation of Hillary Clinton, someone the American people largely don't trust, believe that she has her own rules. And so I like where we're headed. It's really a robust debate that we're having and engaging the American people with where we want to go.
How central, Sean, is innovation, do you think, in that debate? About how to make America more innovative?
Right. I think in our party, it is core. Right. Innovation happens when you allow entrepreneurs and ideas to flow up. What's happened in the Democratic Party and on the left is they stifle innovation. They put government in the center and say that government knows best, and then we'll allow you to operate outside of that frame. I think what Republicans realize is that what makes this country great, what makes capitalism great, is when you allow innovation and ideas to flow upwards and people to create great companies, ideas, vaccines, solutions. All of that happens when people feel that sense of innovation.
I buy that, and of course it's the traditional view, but then why is the Democratic Party, at least historically, much stronger in Silicon Valley, which is of course the engine of innovation in America, if not the world?
I think that it's a really good question. I find that you visit San Francisco and a lot of places where they're represented by Democrats, but it's really interesting. Whenever they come to Washington, it's Republicans that they want to meet with and say, hey, in order to grow my business, this is what I want to do. I think there's a real dichotomy in Silicon Valley between personal, where people believe personally they are, a lot of times socially, and where they are economically. I think financially we align up and down with Silicon Valley. Also, I think that frankly there's a bit of a perception gap. When you start talking to folks out in Silicon Valley, it's really interesting how many times they'll whisper in your ear. It's almost like Hollywood. They'll be like, hey, I'm a Republican, I'm a conservative. But there has become this stigma out in Hollywood and in Silicon Valley that it's bad to be a conservative. But it's that conservative, pro-business, pro-innovation, fundamental piece of our party that should align us much more with the folks out there.
What do you think, you guys, particularly within the RNC, what can you learn from Silicon Valley?
Well, again, I think it's this whole idea of innovation. You look at what happens. Someone has an idea, whether it's Uber or Lyft, where they look at a traditional model and they say, we can do better. I mean, the idea, if you think about it, just talking about Uber and Lyft and ride sharing alone, right? It was somebody who said, this is ridiculous. The whole cab system, having to call, we've got all of this technology in our hand, and yet we're still hailing cabs from the cars, or we're making phone calls to book them. Someone said, hey, I can do that better. And when you look at what we as a party stand for, it's that sense of innovation, making the country better, making people's lives better, is what we're all about.
Do you think that when it comes to the ride-sharing companies, the issue of regulation and the regulation of innovation companies like Uber and Lyft, is that going to become a theme in the election, and could it sort of recalibrate how Silicon Valley sees Republicans and Democrats?
I hope so, because I think that the key to getting our economy growing more than it is right now, more than it should be, is for us to look to ways to which we can innovate and grow. When you look at the number of people who now make their living through Uber and Lyft or eBay, none of these concepts existed 20 years ago. But somebody had a really great idea, they had a lot of perseverance, they brought it to market, and they were willing to fail to make it successful. No one guarantees that if you have a great idea, you're going to be successful in this country. But if you do, we should reward that kind of success. We should encourage it, not stifle it.
So no regulation on the sharing economy?
No, there's a difference. There's a difference. I mean, government has a role to play. It's to protect people from being taken advantage of, or to make sure that certain safety measures are in place. And so this isn't a question of one extreme versus another. But I think that there's silly things that go into place a lot of times where you're looking at a lot of large Democratic-held cities that are fighting Uber because of a cab monopoly. That's wrong. You shouldn't stifle it. I have no problem with safety features put in any kind of industry that ensure that the consumer and the American people are protected. But at the same time, once those measures are met, we shouldn't stifle that.
Sean, as again, you know better than I do, there's been a great debate over the last few years over network neutrality, which has been a live rail. Most politicians are very wary of it because you touch it and you die. But, and it's funny for us because we don't have to be elected, but I pity sometimes politicians. But surely isn't the network neutrality issue, isn't that about the free market?
And I think that each of these candidates in campaigns sort of comes in and takes a position on that. I tend not to, as a party official, as a campaign person, get involved in specifics. That's just not where I tend to go. But I do think we as a party don't tend to get into every issue and weigh in. And I think that's one of those issues that generally, we wouldn't weigh in on, and we'd allow the candidates to be out front on that.
Sean, jobs, the all-important issue
Yeah.
in every election, particularly this one. We know there are many people very angry about not having a job or having a half job. Does it worry you that some of this technology, especially artificial intelligence, that it might undermine jobs?
Well, no, I mean, if you look at it, it's that innovative sense that creates jobs. Like I just mentioned, I mean, there are thousands and thousands of people in this country that now make their money on eBay, that are able to make their money driving Uber or Lyfts. And so technology brings jobs, innovation brings jobs. In some cases, there's things that go away as we evolve as an economy and technology comes on. But net, this is a great thing for the country.
Many people believe that the reason that Obama won the last two elections was his dominance of social media and of technology. Is this something that the Republicans have been working on very hard?
Oh, absolutely. And again, one thing that's really interesting to note is the Obama campaign, much to their credit, both in 08 and 12, did build a really, really strong data and digital operation. But it was for one candidate. What we at the party have done is built an infrastructure, a data and digital infrastructure that benefits our entire party up and down. So whether you're running for dog catcher or president of the United States, and it's our data and digital operation that was tested in 2014 and proved so successful that we're now able to harness going into this presidential election.
I understand that you can't speak for or against any of the candidates as a member of the RNC, but what qualities do you think will come to the fore in 2016? What kind of candidate is your party, or for that matter, the country, looking for?
Well, I think there's two things. One is we have to have an agenda. We have to talk about issues that matter. I mean, you mentioned jobs, so it's talking about the issues that the American people care about. But I think the other part is that people have to feel as though the person that is running relates to them. Not necessarily on a personal basis, but understands the issues that are important to them and is fighting for them. You look at one of the things that was really interesting about the 2012 election is Mitt Romney, when it came to the issues, actually beat Barack Obama on every exit poll on issues. But Obama beat him on the question of people that people felt like he cared about the people like them and the issues they were concerned about. So there is this sense of people wanting to know that the person that they're electing for president is fighting for them. And I think that's probably one of the biggest issues that we need to address this cycle.
So the matter of authenticity, of being able to intimately engage with the election.
That's right.
Well, Sean Spicer, a real honor, and you put yourself on the line. I'm going to have you back before the actual election.
You bet.
And by then, hopefully, we'll have a candidate. But best of luck with the party, and best of luck with strategizing this remarkable party.
Thank you for having me.